Hi everyone. I'm gonna do this project. I'm gonna show it to you finished. This is it finished. It's just the moon Santa. I don't know if you can see, this is all textured, okay? It's all done with Snowstorm, the white, and I ran a comb through it. So I'm gonna show you how to do that, okay? But this is how we're gonna do this project, what we're gonna start with. So the project is gonna start with tracing the pattern. So you can see I've already traced it with pencil. I've traced the pattern onto the tissue paper, okay? So I've already got that done. So now you're gonna take your tissue paper, you're gonna put it right on your plate and line it up so that you're kind of to the edge, but you don't want it all the way to the edge. You see, just kind of line it up like you see it on here, okay? So there is black around the edge. Can you take it right to the edge? You can if you want to. If you don't want to paint that whole black edge over here, you could take the whole thing and move it down, but I like it with the black, surrounded by all the black. So I'm moving it in a little bit so that I'll have black around my whole edge. Now I'm going to place that down. I'm going to use a water-based marker and I'm going to trace my pattern. Okay. Okay, now you can see that my Santa is on there. It looks good. Now the first thing we're going to do is the snowstorm, because you have to, you're going to use the comb through it. So if you're going to, actually, I back up a little. I am going to put my green on first. I'm going to use a fun writer, and first thing I'm going to do is just color this in, okay? I'm also going to do my little red berries too. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to try to leave a little space. Sometimes they run together. You got to clean it up later, but I did a pretty good job leaving a space, okay? So that's what I did so far. Now I'm going to get ready to do the snowstorm. Okay, so before we put on the snowstorm, this is what we need to do. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you the reason for it first. So when you see this, the snowstorm and the comb going through it, okay, to give it that texture. Now, you could see that if I didn't put a color underneath this, you wouldn't see, you just see white. It wouldn't show up. The whole texture thing wouldn't even show up. So you have to put a color underneath it so you have to put a color on first in order to get that look, okay? And you got to let it dry before you can run the comb through it and stuff. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to put on, this is Coffee and Cream 2371, and we're going to paint that stuff that's going to have the snowstorm. Not this up here, though, because we don't need to do that, because that doesn't need, we're not putting a comb through that. That's just going to be fixed snowstorm. So I'm going to use, like maybe a number, let's see, I'm going to use a number 6 brush or 8 brush, whatever you're more comfortable with. And then I'm going to paint this. So you want at least 2 coats, okay? So you want to paint it on here. And you also want to paint it on the mustache. But it's going to cover up your, once you paint it, you might cover up your lines. So if you want to leave a little space there so that you know where you're going with the, mustache and the beard separate. So you might want to know that, so you might not want to cover that, okay? You might want to leave a little space there so you kind of have an idea where it is. So this is my first coat of the Coffee and Cream. You don't have to be too neat about it. You don't want globby, but you don't have to be too neat, because what you're doing is it's just your first coat, and it's going to be underneath the snowstorm. Okay guys, now that that's dry, I am going to show you how to put the snowstorm on and how to do the combing to make this texture. So I'm going to put the plate aside for a second, because I'm going to suggest that you try this, and I'm going to show you some things with the comb, okay? So here's my snowstorm, okay? Now I have to put it on pretty heavy, so I'm going to put quite a bit of snowstorm on here, okay? So, because we're going to comb it. This here is from coloring my hair. It's a hair color L'Oreal thing that just came in a color kit. I saved these. Yeah, I figure I might find something to do with it. Now, you can use this as a comb. Can you see? You got to keep wiping it off. Just wipe it off. Do it again. You can even swirl it, you know. So that's one of the things I could use. Here's another tool from a color kit, hair coloring kit. Yes, I color my hair a lot. I've had them for years. I did it over the years. I mean, don't work as well, but try it. It makes some big lines. It doesn't really do as much. It doesn't work that well. Here's a small comb, like from an actual comb I cut it off with just some heavy duty scissors and just cut it off. Now, you could even spread them out a little like this, so that you have a little more, they're not so close together. Now you could take this, and you could also, this makes a really nice little lines. See how that works? You know, make sure you dry it off a little, because, you know, you don't want too much paint on there. So you could see how this works. Works really nice, okay? See how you need, that's why I needed the gray underneath, I mean the tan color, like that coffee and cream underneath, because you're going to see that. This one I knew was a little too fine. I tried it, but it was just too fine for me, because I don't want it that fine. I want more snow, you know? So what I used, I'm going to show you. I also have, that the only other thing I use for my hair is I use a pick, okay? Now this is too big to try to do the beard, so I even found a way to cut this off. So I cut some of these off, and I ended up with this. This is what I used for that beard, okay? So now I was able to wave it. It was just right. See the amount you get on it, okay? So you got, you know, they're spaced enough that I still got a lot of snowstorm showing. I can go over it if I want. You know, it just makes it easy to work. I'm not digging through to this color. I'm only digging into the snowstorm, okay? So when I did this beard, see if I can show you this. So when I did this beard, you can see I just kind of ran it down, you know, the whole beard, and I went over some lines, just wipe it off. You're going to have no two that are going to be exactly the same. That's what I did with this beard. It was very, very easy. I did the little mustache, mustache first, and then did that. Okay, so now that you've seen this, and I went over some of those things with you, you can dig up almost anything that you can find that the pick worked. This worked the best for me, okay? And it was just too big, so I cut it off, and I'm able to do it with these three little things, okay? So that's what I used, and I think that's what I would suggest you to do. Like I said, you might want to do something first to, you know, to try it out. Okay. Okay, so I have my little pick here with the little, the three little, what do you call it? I got actually four little prongs on it here to use. I got my snowstorm. Make sure you shake it up. Make sure it says snowstorm on it and not magic flow. Okay, now you're going to take the snowstorm and you're going to put the snowstorm on thick like we did on the tile. You're going to put it on a little bit heavy because naturally you want it to show up. And this is the next thing we do. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the comb here, and I'm going to turn my plate, and now I'm going to kind of go up and around, okay? So let me see if I can get the camera a little bit closer. Okay, so I'm going to go up and around and then down and up this way, okay? Because I kind of wanted to come out from the nose. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. Now I'm going to wipe off my pick so I don't have paint on it. And I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to do it again because I wanted to. Now you can go right to the, go right to the gray. You just don't want to try to get in the bisque. Now you can use just one little prong of it if you have to. If you want to let it dry a little bit, you can, because sometimes the comb goes through a little bit differently. But you can see the texture. Now I'm going to turn it all the way up because I want to bring this around. I want to bring it around to this is where the edge is of the beard, okay? So I want to go like this. Now I'm getting it on my other thing, but that's why I'm doing this first, so that I can, cover the beard, the beard after. Okay, so there's my texture in the mustache, okay? Now I'm going to go back and put the rest of my snowstorm on, okay? But I got to fix this over here, this area over here, because that isn't where the mustache ends, right about there. So I'm going to do this. And you don't want to let it dry, to the point where it won't comb through. So don't wait too long, okay? Now, you could see this is what it looks like, all right? So now we're going to do the combing, okay? Now you could see I kind of all floated this way, and when I got down here, I kind of floated all this way. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I got my paper towel in one hand so I can wipe off the, the comb as I do it. Okay, now you can put a few, you can put a few lines in it. Like I said, I didn't just do one. It's just like you're combing the hair, You want to wave it a little bit. Be careful of where you left off with your mustache, because you don't want it to, you want it to see that there's the difference there, okay, from the mustache and you can put a little bit thicker of a line to make sure you define that. That's it, okay? You could see, if you look at it, I gotta do something right there. Okay, I'm going to show you mine close up. Okay, so this is what the beard looks like. It looks pretty cool, right? So do you see why now it makes sense to have that, the color underneath? So you wouldn't see the texture if you didn't. So that's how you're going to do it. So that's it. Now you're going to take the snowstorm while you still have it, and you're going to go blob it into the top, the little fur on the hat. Now you want this solid, so we're not going to be combing through this. So it's going to look, you know, it'll look a little different. It's going to pop, really puff up if you have it on a little thick. So you want it on thick enough to puff up. And the reason we put that, the Kermit on the first is because, you know, trying to paint this around the Kermit would be difficult. So I'd rather do the snowstorm because you only got to do that one coat on the edge. And I don't want this textured. I don't want the green holly leaves textured, okay? So you can see I put this on pretty heavy because I really want the texture on that. So I get as close to the leaves as I can. Okay, and now, of course, I've got to take a small brush, like the little detail brush. I got this small detail brush, and I'm going to go around my my holly leaves. Now this too, you're just dropping it in there, so it's easy. You're not trying to like outline it or anything. So, you know, you're just dropping it in a little bit. You're not painting several coats. You're just doing this one coat to bring it in close to the leaves. Okay, that's about it. So I tried to get as closest to the leaves as I can with the detail brush. And there's a little up top too that I didn't trace the pattern of. I don't know why, but I'm going to put some up here because it kind of goes around this. Okay, and then I'm going to show it to you. It's already starting to dry a little. You can see, and then you can see how heavy it is. So that's how heavy the snowstorm is. And it's still got some nooks and crannies in it. Some, you could see on this plate here, I put it on really heavy. So I must have put, I did this quite a while ago. So I must have put it on, you know, very heavy to get that kind of texture. So, but you can see you can. It's just that it, you know, bubbles a little and stuff. So, but I think I did it pretty good. So, because this plate is still dipped after. The snowstorm, you can dip it or not dip it. It's up to you. But I dipped this whole plate, so it's still going to give you texture even when you dip it. The snowstorm does that. So that's the beard and the mustache and the fur on the hat. Okay, now we are going to do the face of this piece. So what you want to do with the face, you want to take, this is a, like I said, whatever you're comfortable with, 6 or 8. This is a number 8 brush. And I'm going to paint, do the face. Now, I've got to do at least 3 coats, okay, because I'm brushing it on. Okay, so now this is my 3 coats. I'm going to do the eye after, but first I'm going to show you how to shade the little nose. Now you can just use this with a, you don't have to shade it if you don't want to. I have shading right in here where the nose is. I have a tiny bit at the eye, but it's mostly done with the black. But I have a little bit of shading right in here, and I have a little bit of rosiness on the cheek and the nose and the mouth, okay? Oh, and don't forget your mouth. I almost forgot that little piece. You can use a smaller brush to do this if you want. I'm just going to put it on a little heavy with one heavy coat. There you go. So that's the mouth. Now, okay, so now I'm going to show you how to shade it. So, to shade it, you're going to need, you could just paint it on if you want, but you're going to need a little bit of, I'm using Mochaccino 2328. I just need a drop of that. And now I'm going to take my brush, the same brush I'm using, and I'm going to dab it off. Now, if you feel like you need a smaller brush, you can go for a number 6. Like I said, this is a number 8. Let's see, that's a number 8. I was trying to see if I had a number 6 here. That's in good condition, because you do need a brush that's in good condition. Okay, here's a number 6, so I'm going to swap to this one. This is a number 6. It's a different brand of brush. It's the crafter's choice, but it doesn't matter. And it looks like it's got a pretty, when you wet it down and dab it, it looks like it's got a pretty good point on it. So you want a nice, you don't want a fluffy brush for shading. So you want to wet, you want to put your you can see I have water here. Okay, I want to make sure you can see it under the camera. Okay, so you have water here. You want to wet and dab it off so that you just have a little bit of water in your brush, but not a lot of water. But you don't want to wipe it off like this either, because then it's too dry. So to shade, you want to do wet, dab, to just get out the heavy water. And then you're going to have, if you have to retrace your pattern, you can. I don't have to do that, but I'm going to throw it in there with this marker so you can see it where the pattern, where the thing was, okay? So I'm kind of just putting this in there, this line, okay? And a line going here from the eye, just so you can see where I'm shading, okay? So I'm shading right where that line is, okay? So I'm going to take it, I'm going to wet, I'm going to dab, I'm going to side slide. So it's wet, dab, side, slide, okay? If you can remember that saying, I taught it years ago, but that you wet, dab, side, slide. So when I say side slide, you slide in just the side of your brush into the paint. Make sure you got a nice clean edge. So when you look at your brush, there's water, and then there's the glaze, but the glaze is only on the side of the brush, okay? Then you're able to take this and just, the paint will just go there, okay? So do you see how the paint just went right there? So the rest of this, so you got your little shading, and the rest of this is water. It fans out like water, and the water just fans out so that you don't have this hard line. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to wet, dab, and then I'm going to do it around this little corner of the nose too. You could shade anything once you do this. Now, I don't have to wet and dab it every time. I can just slide it in the color just to put some more color there, as you can see. Okay? Now, if you want to bring it down around the nose, you can. You don't have to. I didn't on the other one. So that's basically it. If you want to, you can do the edges of where your snowstorm meets the face. Sometimes I'll do that so that I have a little bit of shading there to show that it's it defines the face and it just adds to it. It just adds to the piece, that's all. So once that dries, all you're going to see is the shading, okay? So I don't have to do anything else with that, okay? So now I'm going to do the eye. Oh, I'm going to put some red into the cheeks. I'm going to show you how to do that next. Okay, so you're going to take a little bit of the Rockin Red, a drop of it, and the flesh color that you did the face with, okay? And you're going to mix a little bit of Rockin Red into the flesh color because you want it almost the same color, okay? Now, what I do, it's very hard to make blush on cheeks with glazes. It just is. Maybe somebody has a trick for it. I don't. This is what I do. So I got the little bit of mixture and I put it where I want it in the cheek, okay? And I'm going to put it where I want it at the nose, okay? And I'm going to put it down here on the mouth, which I don't mind having a little bit more red. But now I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to dab it off. And I'm going to take a little bit out because I don't want this too red. And then I'm going to smooth out the edges because see how it just has like a circle? So now I just wet my brush and I just use water. And I just hold my brush sideways and I tap around that edge so that it fans out the edge so it doesn't look like a, you know, like a big circle on the nose. I don't want like that to be a big circle. Okay, so I wet it, I dab it off a little, but I've got a little bit of water in my brush now. The only thing I've got in my brush is water. Okay, and that kind of just, that's what I do to get, you know, the blush in the cheeks without actually having like a circle. Okay, and that's it for that. Now, what I want to do is I want you to clean it up with this little tiny brush. You want to wet it, dab it off, and this is the that little tiny square brush that I love so much. You want to wet it, clean it off, and then I'm going to clean out my eye a little bit so that it's got a nice, you know, I got some paint. I got some of the flesh color in the eye, and I want to just make sure my eye looks nice. So I'm cleaning that out. So you can see I cleaned out my eye with that, and now I'm going to do the eye. Okay, to do the eye, you want to have a little bit of polar bear. You probably need just drops. I don't know why I poured so much, but you need just a drop of white, a drop of blue, and a drop of black, okay? So I'm going to use the detail brush for this because it's a very small eye. So that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to put my white in first. Now, I'm going to cover my whole white, okay? You could just, well, actually, you could just, it's just such a small eye. You could just put the white. Usually I cover the whole eye with white, and then I go over it with the blue and over it with the black. But where this is just such a small eye, I'm going to put the white in. Now, I'm putting it on a little heavy because I'm just going to do one coat. You could do 2 coats. You'll brush it on 2 coats or 3 coats, but I'm just going to put it on 1 coat. I'm just going to put it on heavy because, you know, I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to have time to let it dry. It's just a little heavy, not much. So I've got my white in that spot, okay, where the white is. Just so you don't have to retrace the pattern if you have to do that. Clean off your brush, then you're going to put the blue. I'm going to put the blue in. And this is the iris of the eye. Same thing. I'm just going to put it solid blue because I don't need anything fancy. And like I said, I'm putting it on a little bit heavy so that it's just, it's going to just take a little longer to dry. But I'm putting it on a little heavy so I don't have to do several coats. It's just a little tiny area, so... Okay, now I'm going to do the black, the pupil, which is going to be right against my blue. The black, I'm probably going to put 2 colors in. I mean 2 coats. 2 coats of the black. And then I'm going to outline it. You can outline it. It's the only thing I outlined, really, is the black. Because I just only outlined the eye. You can use a fun writer, or again, you can use a brush. I'm going to use this tiny brush. I have it right here, so I'm going to use it. So I'm going to outline the eye. By outlining, the best way is to put a little water in your brush and water down the black because you get a thinner line if you do that. Okay, because I need very thin lines for this, okay? So this is where I just go right. Now that the white and the blue are already dry enough to do this. So... just going to have a steady hand and go slow. I'm going to, while I'm at it, I'm going to add a few lashes on the end, not like girly lashes because he's a Santa, and but he still has lashes, but I'm not going to make them too long and all over the place. Just going to put a few there. Now I am going to put a little line above his eye. I'm going to put a couple more lashes just right here. I'll show you after. I'll show you when I'm done what I did with it, the close-up. Now you can see the eye, it's just, you know, it looks like an eye, but until you put that dot, the white dot in the eye, it's not going to look like much. So I'm going to put the white dot right in the eye, and I'm going to put it towards the back of the eye right here. And then it makes the eye look better. Now I'm putting in a little bit strong. That's it. So that's my eye. That's my face. He's just about done, other than I'm going to put the red on the hat. Now, not much more to him to go, but the red, you got to do, you can do this again with a fun writer, or you can squirt it out and use a brush. It's a big area, so I am probably going to use the brush. And I'll probably use like maybe a number 6 or 8 brush. So you want to put the red in. You want to do 3 coats of the red, which takes a little time. Okay, we did the yellow with the fun writer. It was the what a yolk. And now the only 2 things we have to do is you have to take a small brush and you want to put a tiny bit of this Green Acres. It's dark green, and you want to put just a slight little line down each leaf. Now you can shade it in there, or you could just put it in there. I just put it in there very light, so. And that's it on the green. Now the rest of the piece is really done with this black lab. Okay, so that's the whole rest of the piece, is just going around it, and you need at least 2 coats. 2 coats of the black is usually good. So what you want to do is go around the whole, this whole black area. Okay, the whole plate, the whole rest of the plate is black. You're going to dip it, so you don't have to do the backside black if you don't want to, but you do got to do the edge of it. So, you know, you're going to have to go carefully around the edges. All right, that's my first coat. I'm going to use this little detail brush to get in this little spot right here. Okay, now I got one coat of the black lab on the plate. Now, I don't think you need to watch me do the whole second coat, so I'm going to do the second coat and paint the black. I'm going to splatter it with Polar Bear and a toothbrush, and then the piece will be done.